Okay, C is still in the game, going against ForGG this time on Fighting Spirit. And I think this might be KT's last non-Flash player that they're going to play tonight, because if ForGG loses this game, they're not going to have anything left but Flash to carry them through the rest, unless they're planning some surprise attack on NBC. But anyways, 4GG was up there at the 10 o'clock position in red, and down here at the 8 o'clock position is a very smug-looking C in teal. Cross positions, so expect a longer game on this map. It's a very large map, very large 4-player map, and we're at cross positions, so I expect econ builds from both.
Yeah, I'm expecting econ builds as well, actually. Rather a long-winded TVT. We're going to see the usual chess match that we see in a TVT game. And definitely got to give C the advantage. He's a very good player in this matchup. But I understand why KT went for 4GG in this case, simply because 4GG, I think, of all the players that are available to them, because the luxury is unavailable because of personal reasons, I think 4GG is the player on their team who can most handle pressure. He's been in a finals before, in a Star League finals before. He's won a Star League. He's been in this kind of pressure situation before. Also, when he was playing for Hwasa and Oz, he was in the playoffs with them. So 4GG understands what it's like to be under pressure, and he can deal with it fairly well. So I definitely understand their choice for fielding 4GG instead of possibly somebody else like Stats or something or some such.
Yes, a non-Flash player, as I like to say. But the barracks coming up for C down there. Let's see what 4GG does. Yeah, he's going to go down and build his barracks too. So yes, very standard openings from these guys. No cheesiness yet, although C kind of built a forward racks, but he's not going to use that for cheese. He's going to use that to float over and get the scout. Once he scouts 4GG's base, he wants to keep in there with a scout, and barracks act as basically an overlord with a lot of hit points. So move about the same speed, get about the same range of scouting information. But I'd say 4GG, I think 4GG is a pretty good choice. His TVT is decent. I don't think it's up to the level of C's. I mean, C's Terran versus Terran is basically up there. I mean, I can remember in the Pro League, earlier in the Pro League, when a Flash was destroying all the other Terrans, and people were saying, well, will C take him down? Can C do it? And no, C could not, but really ended up breaking Flash's TVT streak. So even if 4GG loses this match, they'll still have Flash. I mean, Flash will have to get a 3-kill if there is a loss here, but still he'll have his best matchup here, and Flash doesn't really have any weaknesses like some of the other players, I think. Okay, I think Factory coming up for both. C moving out with a single Marine to scout.
Yeah, I think weakness 5 for Flash might be his TVP, but, you know, we talk about a weakness for him, and for everybody else, that's like, God, I wish I was that good at that matchup, right? So a weakness for him is not really a weakness for anybody else. So ACV's going to meet there at the lower left-hand corner, so going to scout each other second on both sides, and pretty much assuming that off that one factory, both players most likely going to be trying to expand and get their natural expansions up before any sort of action comes out. I'm wondering maybe one of them might decide to go for a heavy vulture strat. I'm not quite sure. Try to get a lot of vultures out there, try to put on some harassment. Not quite sure really if they're going to try to do that or not. ACV's going to come up for C here, but 4GG with his 2 Marines are going to be able to block that off, meanwhile building his command center. And C, meanwhile, yeah, pushing back. He was pushing forwards with 2 of his own Marines, but decided to push back with that. Has his own command center building, I believe. Going to try to chase that SV down, but I'm not quite sure if he's going to be able to prevent the scout. Does have a vulture out, so he might actually manage to prevent the scout out here. He is going to scout out the natural expo, but so I think pretty much all of the information that 4GG wanted there he did get.
Yeah, definitely going to see an econ build now. But it's interesting you mentioned 4GG winning a finals earlier, because I was just remembering that. It's hard to actually remember that. You don't really think of 4GG as a finalist, but he beat Jadong in an MSL final 3-0, no losses. And I'm not really sure what's happened since then, but he just hasn't looked the same. He hasn't had that same high level of play. Maybe it was just a good streak that got him to that point, but even when he was traded to KT, he didn't really rise his level of play that much. I think he's been playing better on KT than he did on what was League Half Oz at the time. But still, I bet KT is just sitting there hoping, well, did we make a good investment on this kid? Let's see what he can do against C. A lot of factories coming up for the guys now. We're going to see a huge mid-game army from both in the middle of the map, just battling it out. And yeah, they're both basically going for the same build, so the better player will win. I guess you can say that for any matchup.
Yeah, pretty much. The only difference right here is that C has that scouting barracks going around there. Gonna spot, yeah, just skipping it here, just to spot the command center. Spotted the command center, is gonna float that barracks back. ForGG can move out with a couple of tanks, while on the opposite side we actually see C. Oh, that was odd. Gonna see CC, can focusing, very odd name, Chinese name or something, I don't know.
I love CC's pizza.
That exists. That's cool. But yeah, yes. C's focusing very heavily on the vultures meanwhile, and if he has speed on them already, so he's actually going to be able to sneak by. He's going to meet one vulture and a few marines. He's going to be able to pick up the marines, no problem. Going to pick up this vulture as well. Another vulture coming in for ForGG, but that's going to get picked up pretty quick. We're going to see whether he gets the mines in. Or not. If he gets the mines in, he might be able to get a surround on those tanks and pretty much take them out, but he even might have enough vulture numbers. He's going to come in from the back with vultures. He's going to get a surround on those tanks. Tanks are going to be in huge trouble. Only 2 tanks against a bunch of vultures and a couple of marines as well. Initial tanks are going to come out. This one tank for now, ForGG just basically going to try to microwave, try to do as much damage as he can with that before he gets taken down. But beautiful attack here by C, catching ForGG off guard a little bit, going very heavy on the vultures. Going to spot the coach on the bench with the cap in his face, nodding. Yes, very nice, very nice.
I agree with this situation. Yes. So yes, very happy-looking MBC bench there. They saw that ForGG's entire army was pretty much destroyed. I mean, he has his reinforcements back here now, but see, I think he's going to try to take advantage of this by coming in with all of his own vultures. He outnumbers ForGG, but ForGG relying on his reinforcements to come in. It looks like he is going to be able to clean this up, and C forced to back off. He was a little bit too vigilant. You must be vigilant. Yeah, yes, there's Protoss. No Protoss in this match, but another factory coming up for both. Still a mirrored build, so this is going to be an intense battle. I have no doubts about that. And C, he actually pushed his luck a little bit more trying to break through the natural expansion, but he's not going to be able to do that. Not with the troop that he has on the ground right now. So as soon as each guy gets up another factory, I think we're going to see another big battle in the middle of the map. While each is probably going to take a third base soon. It's getting about that time in the matchup where they have enough troops to protect the third base. So I think we're going to see third bases coming down for both guys here soon. I can't believe how mirrored these builds are. And across positions, too. This is just going to be such an intense game.
Yeah, the only difference really has been was that ForGG went for tanks while C just focused heavily on the vultures. And it's really come through for him right now. He's also planted a lot of mines outside of ForGG's natural expansion. It's not going to be able to, of course, take out those vultures, but at the very least, he already knows that these vultures are coming out. He knows that there's a huge group of vultures coming at him. ForGG going to do the same, plant a bunch of vultures outside of the bridge. C has his own initial tank out there, and we're going to see an engagement coming in. They're going to mines. Have to be very careful because one mine dragging in the tank could take out a huge number of his own vultures. Overall, has to be careful. Has some scanners out there as well. Comp is coming up, so he's going to be able to possibly clean out those mines outside of his own base once he manages to. On the opposite side, we see ForGG adding in some more machine shops. So now that has a pretty sizable vulture troop, might start focusing more on the tanks. Has an armory coming up, so we're probably going to be seeing that. And just wondering whether any of the players are going to be anytime soon going for their starports. Which player is going to try to go for the starport sooner and try to get that maneuverability. But for now, it's just going to be an engagement. Tank's going to siege up. We're going to see what the vultures manage to do with that. There are going to be mines coming in very close to the tanks. Not quite close enough, though. More tanks coming in very close to the mines. They do get picked off, though. So ForGG desperately trying to plant some mines very close to the tanks. Not managing to do so. C protecting his tanks beautifully there, right on that bridge. Very critical battle that almost could have gone very badly for C.
Yeah, C playing a little bit risky there. He just sieged his tanks up. Could have lost those if ForGG had focused fire on them or gotten a mine by them, but C did a wonderful job sniping mines and just keeping those safe. And now he's getting a surround on what ForGG has. I don't think ForGG was paying attention at the beginning part of that battle because he just lost all of his vultures in the middle of the map. So now C, I think he has a major military advantage. I saw he had basically the same number of factories as ForGG, so he's doing fine as far as unit production goes. And now he's thinking about taking another base. He's going to plop down another base. Since he knows he took down so many vultures there, he feels a little bit safer knowing that he can throw down that base and he won't be just vulture harassed to hell and back. And let's see if ForGG decides to put down his third base or not. I don't see his SCV out there anywhere throwing down a base over at the 9 o'clock position or anything like that. So he might be just conserving, just getting a bigger army out before he decides to do that. He knows he's behind an army now. And he's going to try to make these little battles count. Little battles, trying to micro around. He does take out all the mines at that 12 o'clock position, so he could definitely expand there now, coming up with a couple of Goliaths, just in case C should go for Wraiths or anything like that. That could be a deadly tech switch if he didn't have Goliaths at that point. And he is sieging up at the 12 o'clock, so I think he's going to try to take that 12 o'clock base soon.
Yeah, so far, very interesting to see only tanks and vultures exclusively. Some Goliaths out there for GG, and vultures managed to come and catch those tanks off guard. Not quite managing to push in all the way. C not being too aggressive here. Knows he has to be rather safe, but pushes him across the bridge, so he's keeping map control. And that's exactly what C wants to play. He's going to be able to take that base. He knows it's going to be safe, and he's going to continue to be able to threaten that third base that ForGG wants to plop back up. There to go. The commands are coming up. So third gas going to be on the way for C on the opposite side. So yeah, still don't see any starports imminent, so another player so far wants to make that switch, still just sticking through large ground armies, trusting in vultures to go very heavily in the maneuverability. C gonna lose one tank that I was waiting for him, kind of vultures sitting there trying to come in close. C actually gonna manage to siege that up, and ForGG actually not pushing, not picking off tank off, probably just fearing the reinforcements coming in from C because he does have a little bit of an army deficit compared to C, but C with a little bit of advantage is going to be able to take his base safer, is going for starport second now, pretty quick facility as well. Lost my tongue there for a second, but yeah, pretty quick science facility there as well, so he's going to be able to continue upgrading. Not quite sure whether he has any weapons upgrades on his forces yet, but they are going to be coming on the way. He's going to be able to get him higher up, and he's going to be able to get those dropships out there to possibly get some drops on top of ForGG. And if he gets a decent drop without getting taken out by those Goliaths, and he gets a decent drop on that tank line, he's already going to be able to take an advantage because still no starport up for ForGG as of yet.
Yeah, C's advantage from earlier is starting to snowball now. He's taking his 2 o'clock base, and so he's going to be way over bases over ForGG. If ForGG can't get something done, ForGG is moving out. He could definitely take this game back with a nice pincer attack. He's coming in just within scan range, scanning there, getting rid of one tank. So everything counts for ForGG at this point. Just pick off as many units as you can and get some economic harassment. I think economic harassment will be the game decider for ForGG. He's going to have to get out his starport and some dropships and drop the 2 o'clock and the 3 o'clock at the exact same time probably, because C is going to try to get the contain. You can tell by the minimap that C has a nice little contain of mines and tanks here. ForGG coming out with a huge army, trying to throw some vultures there to take the tank fire, focus firing on those tanks. Good job by ForGG, but he can't let the mines drag into that tank. Oh! Huge mine there from C. Can't even believe it. Just when I thought ForGG was going to... He was coming out with such a huge army, I thought he'd be able to take that. But man, kept all of his tanks so close together. Oh, that's horrible.
Oh man, that's just ouch. Painful to look at. That attack came out. You knew he had to break out, but unfortunately it was really sad to see like you go for that aggressive action. But C with perfect reactions, getting the mines in close, getting with the vultures to take some of the fire from those tanks, acting as blockers. A beautiful play, beautiful reactions by C. He's going to be able to pick up that 4th base without being heavily threatened by ForGG. ForGG just not managing to keep up the troop production. C still keeping forces at all times. ForGG does manage to go in with vultures at that 6 o'clock. There's no base there, but there are some free tank kills that are waiting for him. Their mine's going to come off. He can manage to pick this off. Also a turret that, well, will eventually maybe fall victim to something. Initial dropship now out there for C, so he's going to be able to start doing some drop strategies, and as soon as he continues dropship production, as soon as more of the dropships come out in the air, he's going to continue to have maneuverability over ForGG, and that just is going to give him a huge advantage over the game. Never mind the fact that he has a stronger economy and stronger army. But ForGG actually going to move across the middle right now, going to ignore some of the forces threatening his 12, going to try to engage C at his positions, but has to be very careful in how he does that because the way he's setting himself up across the middle, C could catch him in a pincer from the north and the south at the same time, box him into the middle. So really has to be very careful what he tries to go for here. Going to spot in at the front with his tanks and move it slowly southward, try to pincer in. Does some nice mines there, so picks off a lot of the tanks that C has there at the front. Most of C's forces here at the north side are going to get picked off. C going to move in some from the east. Oh, it sounds so like I'm looking at a strange battle, like we'll look at real battle. OMG from the east, southwest, and like I'm watching an episode of Battlefield or something.
General Custer coming in from the east. But yes, C is getting very expand happy. He's expanding at the 6 o'clock position as well. So I think that ForGG is actually going to have a larger ground army out there, but still, the longer he waits to attack one of these bases, the better off C is going to be. C, he loaded up some troops into 2 drop ships. He's going to drop those right at the 12 o'clock position. We'll see how quick ForGG's reactions are if C is going to drop. It looks like he's just dropping on top. Oh, I see what he's doing. He's setting up his defensive perimeter at that 2 o'clock base. So he's going to try to defend that with everything he has because he knows that ForGG is going to catch on to that base soon enough. I saw C earlier was checking around looking for an extra base from ForGG that's just now coming down. That 4th base just now coming down for ForGG over at the 9 o'clock position. So C, I don't think he scouted that just yet. But, oh man, ForGG, a very large tank army from him coming out. And I don't think the C has quite enough to defend against this, but he will have it soon just because of his economic advantage. Let's see if ForGG can get this done. ForGG, unsiege tanks moving down the map, just drilling through everything, doing a very good job here, just whittling down the army, and C is running out of troops.
He does have those dropships, though, coming in, reinforcement instantly at the 3 o'clock before ForGG can move downwards, has some Goliaths there as well, just in case ForGG has any dropships. But I haven't really seen any dropship play for ForGG. He's mostly just focusing on the ground army, trying to keep those tanks going. C has some forces at that 2 as well, and constantly reinforcing. And because C has those dropships, 5 dropships at this point, he will be able to drop on top of that force, I feel. He is going to be able to load up. If he gets enough troops, that is, going to be able to load up and drop right on top of that. Of course, when you got a huge amount of force that you drop right on top of your opponent, it just becomes so deadly. You get such a huge advantage from that. But ForGG is going to come in very close. I see he's going to be pulled off the line to try to engage, trying to catch some fire. C has very few forces here. And a mine went in. Oh, catching the tanks as well. ForGG with a beautiful attack. He's probably going to be able to take this 3 o'clock off on. But there you go. C going for a counterattack here at the 3 o'clock. I thought about that if C spotted this base, it was going to be so open, so vulnerable to counterattack. So C is going to allow ForGG to maybe sack his base. He's going to float up the command center, so the Goliath will have to do the job. But he's going to basically allow himself to lose 1 base so he can pick off 1 base of ForGG. And right now for ForGG, losing a base is worse than I believe for C is, because for C, despite losing 1 base, he's still on 4. And ForGG has been on 3 bases for so long. His main is mined out, so he's only mining from his natural and his 12 o'clock at the moment, so he's in a pretty bad position.
Yeah, ForGG getting a nice drop there at the 2 o'clock position. C, I don't think was anticipating this. Doesn't have any troops back here whatsoever. So now ForGG is going to inch up, inch those siege tanks up, and see if he can take down this base, or at least get C to lift it. And this will be a crucial part in this game. I see ForGG is going to get reinforcements in now, too. So ForGG might be able to swing this game back with this drop. He's got to keep on the pressure, constant pressure, though, because he just lost his 4th base. C taking out some troops in the middle of the map. And now ForGG, he is going to eliminate everything up here, but still, this is pretty much his whole troop right now, and he's not going to be able to support production for much longer. So, yes, C at the same time is expanding down at the 8 o'clock position and the 9 o'clock position. So C playing very smart, very, very smart. He's not trying to get rid of these attacks. He's just saying, well, he can't attack me everywhere at once, especially since I just took down his 4th base, his 3rd mining base right now. I think ForGG is only mining from 2. But yep, base trading.
Excuse me. Gotta love it when coffee gets stuck in your throat just when it's your turn to speak, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, joy. But yeah, ForGG actually was moving across the map a little bit, across this bridge with some more reinforcement forces. But yeah, he's not producing forces at nearly close to the rate that C's producing. He might have paused like production for like 2 seconds to plop down those 2 command centers, but he knows, hey, I've sacked 2 bases. That's okay. I'll put up 2 more. ForGG can't do that, because if he does, I'll just drop on top of them and kill him. I have enough forces to do that. ForGG does have enough forces to move towards that 9 o'clock now. He is going to do that, and C really can't play too risky. He really has to go and defend this base this time. ForGG is maybe going to be able to get a drop on that. Has a couple of drop ships in the air. They are getting fired by those Goliaths, though. But C really has to move in. Finally, there you go. His dropship, all of his dropships coming in very close. So I think he's going to be able to drop on the top of this and defend this. Goliath against the Goliath at the moment, and some tanks coming in as well. And also Vulture down at the lower left-hand position, catching yet another command center. So ForGG might actually manage to take off this one. C has to be very careful. He has to try to defend this. He can't continuously sack all of his commands, not even lifting it, getting it picked off, but still moving in with those tanks. He knows. I think C's trying to play the game. He's trying to keep up those commanders, try to expand, try to keep on mining, getting more, basically keeping a stronger economy in ForGG, and therefore knowing that, hey, I have a stronger economy, I'm going to produce more troops than he does, and eventually, if I just keep winning, well, at the very least, keep whittling him down bit by bit, even if I lose a command center here and there, as long as I keep a base over him, as long as I keep beating his forces and whittling him down, I'm going to be in a stronger position overall.
Yep, see, he still has more bases than ForGG, although his mining has been a little bit, it's been much harder to mine, but ForGG is still dropping, trying to get rid of this troop. Doesn't have the troops to do it right there. He has a bunch in the middle of the map, and he's trying to work his way down to that 8 o'clock position so he can take that out. If he does take out the 8 o'clock position, ForGG will be in a great position to win this game. Of course, he should be expanding at the same time. I don't think he is. I think he's been focusing all of his minerals and getting out these troops to take down these bases, and C actually might not be anticipating that. He might think, well, ForGG, he's got to expand somewhere else, doesn't he? Not necessarily. It's a ForGG coming down the map. He has a nice tank line there in the middle. It's going to be difficult unless C drops on those tanks to take them down, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it with his troop in the middle of the map. ForGG, I think he's waiting for reinforcements before he tries to push the 8 o'clock, but he's going to have to do that soon. ForGG is actually expanding right in the middle of the map. Double gas there, so that's definitely going to help him out, especially if he wants to go for a Wraith tech switch or something, which I've actually seen on this map before. Ruby went for, I think, 21 starports. I think it was 18 or 21 starports against Sky High on this map, and that was just epic. But okay, we're going to see a huge drop from C soon. He's loading up all of his dropships.
Yeah, just C really... The problem is that he's allowed, well, I don't know really if he's allowed, but I got to say that ForGG's done a very good job of always keeping in touch, of always knowing where C is. C had an expo at the 3 and the 2. ForGG found out and went and did something about it. C had an expo at the 9 and the 8. He went out and he did something about it. Hasn't taken out the 8 o'clock yet, but he did take out 9. He's taken out 3 bases of C's right now. So ForGG's done a very beautiful job of staying in this game. But C at the moment still has very much the maneuverability advantage. He's going to go for this middle, has a bunch of dropships, sacks 1 or 2, but a huge drop right on top of this middle. He knows he can't allow ForGG to get back into this game by allowing him this double gas. No way. No way, Jose. Haha, I said it. But ForGG is going to come in with a lot of tanks as well, so he might actually be able to defend this. The command center at the very least is going to get floated, and his refinery is probably going to get picked off. But even more dropships for C, running back, getting more reinforcements, try to keep on the pressure. ForGG actually expanding at the 3 o'clock at the moment as well. So this is kind of turning into an even match again. Really hard to see because C's, well, maybe he lost just the 1 base too many to those attacks. He's mining at the lower left and he's mining at the 6. But I'm not really sure. I don't think he's mining at his natural or his main anymore. So both players kind of starving for minerals at this point. Although I think he's a little stronger economy-wise right now. But ForGG is still catching up. Actually going to go right for the natural expo. I'm not quite sure how smart it is, but I think C's going to be able to drop right on top of those tanks as soon as he can find a position for himself to do so. And C still has a pretty strong presence near the middle as well with a lot of those tanks. So he might actually manage, if he pushes back with those tanks, he might actually manage to get a pincer attack on these small forces that ForGG has right there. And for some reason, ForGG just now setting his SCVs to mine at the 3 o'clock, probably just now had this command center ready there. So ForGG also going to pick up yet another base that he's been starving for quite a while, especially since he's lost that middle.
Yeah, I'd say if ForGG can secure another expansion right now, I'm sure he's going to do that soon enough. If he can secure 1 more, he'll be able to get himself back into this game because he needs constant mineral intake to support production to fight off C, because C does have a larger army right now, and he has a lot of dropships. He can just drop wherever ForGG attacks, so ForGG is going to have a hard time attacking bases, getting some harassment, economic harassment or anything like that. If he does drop, I think he'll wedge himself in the corner of one of these expansions, most likely the 8 o'clock position. He'll be able to wedge himself, all of his troops, into one corner, make it difficult to approach with tanks, and then he'll be able to take that out and hope that he doesn't get counter-attacked by C, which is actually pretty likely. C is going to drop. I think they're both going to drop each other at the same time. C dropping right on top of the base, though. ForGG, he dropped at the 9 o'clock position, so he's going to have to go down, refill his drop ships, and drop back on that 8 o'clock position while C has most of his troops out here. But the SCV is going to fight, and C actually being whittled down up here. C is floating up a command center, but unfortunately you can't stack command centers.
Yeah, a failed drop there by C at the 9 o'clock. ForGG has had too much to defend. He still has his lower left hand where ForGG has not yet managed to go and take, but he's going to yet again drop on that 9. He knows that base has to die. ForGG sending in reinforcements of his own. We're going to see whether C's going to have enough troops. A lot of tanks on the ground. SCV's being pulled off the line. ForGG sending in reinforcement, just not enough, though. C's going to have enough this time. These tanks are going to be enough. All the SCVs go down, and the commands are most likely follow as well. Probably going to be forced to float, and the second that happens, C's going to like, mine now. So has more forces moving in as well. So C doing a good job of denying. ForGG is picking up their upper right-hand position, though. He's going to be forced to float up his commander. Not mining the upper right-hand, though, yet, because C's also pressuring that one with a lot of tanks, using that barracks to scout. And C just, with good reactions overall, I got to say, is denying these bases. He's staying on top of what ForGG is doing, pretty much kind of what ForGG did earlier. But yeah, picking off ForGG's bases. And looking at ForGG right now, he's losing his command center to later lost at 3 o'clock. The only base he's mining now is at 12, and that will not have much at all. Maybe 1 or 2 mineral patches left with almost nothing. So ForGG right now is starving for minerals. He has to. Oh, man, he's not going to have any sort of troop production for now. So whatever he has on the ground, he has to use that to do some damage and to pick up a command center and keep it safe. Doing some drops, he's losing one before he even drops. He's going to go for a full-on attack. There's a low left hand. He's going to try to pick this all off and maybe pick this base up for himself. Not altogether too sure. He's going to force a flow at the very least. But C, I don't know, he might even be happy to just sacrifice this. Might even come in to try to pick these troops off, but I don't think he's going to really need to do that. He knows that he's just going to be able to force ForGG, keep him in this position, and if ForGG tries to pick up a base here, go in and then pick it off. Because right now, the only thing that C needs to do to win this game is just deny a base for ForGG. Deny a base, and if he does that, eventually it's going to be a win for him.
Yeah, ForGG basically has no mining right now, but what I find curious is that I'm pretty sure he has a pretty large clump of troops right next to that 3 o'clock base over there that he could have used for several attacks that he tried earlier, but maybe not. Maybe that's a grouping of mines down there, but I'm pretty sure I saw a lot of tanks at that position. But C is just attacking unsieged tanks right into the natural expansion of ForGG right now, and ForGG pulling back with all of his troops. Yeah, look at this. A huge amount of tanks there that ForGG hasn't really used for anything other than just maybe whittling down the tank line that comes out of the bridge area of C's natural expansion. Maybe that's what his plan was, to leave those tanks there. But coming down to the 6 o'clock position now, and ForGG actually has a sizable number of tanks, and if he notices the other clump of tanks right next to the 3 o'clock, I think he'll be able to take this base down. But C, he's positioning on the high ground with all of his siege tanks, and if he can hold against this troop, which it looks like he's doing, it's going to be so difficult for ForGG to get back in this game. There are already troops outside of his natural expansion, and ForGG finally moving his troops into the middle, maybe trying to surprise C with his numbers.
Yeah, just thinking, hey, maybe C thinks I don't have anything left, so I might as well move it now. He's going to catch some forces off guard, but this is the last thing he has. This is it. Those tanks, he's going to sieging up. He's going to be able to pick this up, but he has 4 tanks left on the ground, and that's it. He's got nothing else. Okay, a few tanks there. Goliath's here. Wow, thanks for proving me wrong. These pro gamers love proving me wrong. This is like prove ranching wrong day every day. But hey, still ForGG in a horrible position. Yeah, at the 12 o'clock, 2 mineral patches. All the SCV's been pulled off the line, so he might go for the last-ditch effort attack on one of C's bases, try to pick that off, try to pick up something for himself. Is going to do that, but C even has the drop ships. He's going to drop on top of these 3 tanks that are waiting to do something, and then they die. The last few tanks for ForGG can move out, but as soon as these all die, there's going to be a GG. Just at this point, no real opportunity for him to get back in this game. He had quite a few chances in the mid game, in the late mid game, even in the early late game, but just overall, just despite the fact that he did. Had some very nice maneuvers, some nice moves, won some battles, important battles, but just hasn't done enough. Going to try to come in here at the 9 o'clock, But C, just way too many troops, way too many bases. He's going to constantly reinforce, coming in and clearing this entire troop up. So that's going to be a GG any second now.
There's the GG from ForGG. And now, KT, their last hope is going to lie in a player named Flash, the Terminator.